Hi, this is Chaitanya Malladi from ENH iSecure Private Limited. As part of this session, we will be looking at SAML integration between Okta and Identity Now to enable single sign-on. Let us start by heading over to the Okta development instance and logging in as the administrator. As the policy on Okta has been set up so that the administrators have to provide a second factor for logging in, a passcode is being required. This passcode is obtained from the Okta Verify mobile application. Once logged in as an administrator, we can go over to the Applications menu in order to create a new application. We would be integrating Identity Now as an application, which is a web-based platform, and the integration method or the sign-on method will be SAML. As part of this application creation, we need to provide few general details on what the application name, logo are supposed to look like for the end user. Then the next section requires us to provide the details of the SAML integration. This information can be obtained from the Identity Now tenant. So let's go over to the Identity Now, and under the administrator section, here we have already logged in as the admin, and within the global settings and security settings, we have the service provider menu where the information about the entity ID and the SAML URL are available. We need to provide this SAML URL on Okta as the single sign-on URL, and the entity ID or the audience restriction can also be retrieved from Identity Now and configured on Okta. The default relay state can be left empty and the name ID as unspecified. The application username is same as Okta username in the current demo. As part of the attribute statements, we need to provide what attributes will be sent as part of the assertion during the authentication process. We will be using the UID attribute, which is a unique identifier from the Identity Now platform. The value for this corresponds to the user.login attribute on Okta platform. With this configuration, the basic SAML settings are set up. Now the application is created in Okta, and a few questions as feedback are required as we have created a new application. Now the application is configured on Okta's. The next step is to set up the service provider configurations on Identity Now. The relevant information that needs to be set up can be obtained from Okta. These configuration details can be used as a reference to set up this application on Identity Now platform. On the Identity Now service provider settings, we can see the entity ID, login URL for post and redirect are required. These can be retrieved from the Okta configuration. The single sign-on URL can be used for post and redirect login URLs, and the entity ID is also available as part of the Okta configuration page. We also need to download the certificate from Okta and import it into the Identity Now platform. This is to ensure that the certificate is used for signing the assertion that is sent as a response from Okta to Identity Now. On the Identity Now, we can import this certificate. The certificate is now imported, and we need to update the identity mapping attribute, which we have set up to be the unique ID or UID within Okta's SAML configurations. Once the details are set up, we can go ahead and enable the remote identity provider, which enables the single sign-on the Identity Now platform, and save the configurations to complete the integration process. The next step in the integration process is to assign the application to the users who need access within Okta. This can be done from the application settings under the assignments tab. Right now we see that no users have been assigned. This is because this is a newly created application and no users are assigned to this yet. Let us start by assigning this application to the admin user we are currently logged with. This user's user ID on Identity Now is Chaitanya Malladi. We can update the username in the same manner and save the assignment. Now this application is assigned to the admin user. Let us now log out from both the platforms and verify that the integration is complete and the application is assigned to this user. Logging in as the same user again, we can try to verify the integration process. Providing the second factor passcode, we are logged in to the Okta, and we can see a notification that the Identity Now app is now assigned to this user, and we also see an application icon to launch the Identity Now application. All we have to do is click on this application, and Okta redirects us to the identity now and helps us by signing in automatically. We can see that the signing process is now completed, and we are on the home page of the particular user within identity now. The next step is to enable new users who need access to this application to get the access automatically without any manual intervention. This can be achieved using a directory integration on Okta. Let us begin by looking at the Active Directory structure that is present as part of this demo environment. Within this Active Directory users and computers, we can see that we have an ENH users container with a container for external users and a container for internal users. Let us consider the scenario where the access to Okta should only be provided to the users as part of the internal container and not to the users who fall into the external container. This can be set up in the Okta directory integration. Let us go over to the Okta administration pages to see how this is done. Under directory, we can navigate to the directory integrations where we have already set up this integration. This process requires installation of an Active Directory agent that is provided by the Okta platform. This agent is used to communicate with the Okta cloud and the on-premise Active Directory. We can see that there is one agent installed as of now and it is active. As part of the configurations setup, we can see the containers can be selected on which users and groups are imported into Okta, and currently we have only enabled the internal users to be pulled into Okta and the groups from the ENH groups container. We can also schedule an automatic import which can automatically occur at a regular interval. Since this is a demo environment, we have set it up as never, and we will be performing the import as and when we need. In addition, we also have various other details on how the Okta user is created based on the user's AD account, and this also contains information on how the attributes are mapped between AD attributes and the Okta attributes. For a manual import, we can go over to the import tab and run a manual import as and when required. Under the assignments tab, we can see the users that are currently coming in from the Active Directory system. As of now, we can see that there are 4 users that are present in the Okta system as part of the directory integration. We can confirm this by looking into the Active Directory users and computers under the internal container, and we see the same 4 users are present here that have been imported into Okta. Since the directory integration is set up, when we have a new user, an identity management platform like Identity Now can create the user in the corresponding container to ensure that the Okta account is automatically imported and created, and the user has access to the applications they need from the single sign-on platform. To enable this, as part of this demonstration, we have set up a couple of applications on Identity Now for the authoritative source as well as the Active Directory. Heading over to the administrative section of Identity Now, we are required to provide a second factor authentication to log in as the admin. If we navigate to the connection and sources, we can see the applications that have been set up. We have configured 2 applications, one for retrieving the new user details as the authoritative source and one as the Active Directory application. Let us head over to the authoritative source application to import new users. Under the user's details source, we can see that there are currently 6 accounts that are present. These 6 are retrieved from a file. The delimited file can be observed here where we have the 6 users set up. Let us go ahead and add 2 more users into the file. One of the users is an external user and the other user, Justin, is marked as internal. Let us save this file and import it into Identity Now. We can do this from the Import tab and selecting the file to upload. Now the file is getting imported and we can see that it was successfully imported and the 8 accounts were scanned. The same is reflected in the Accounts tab where we can see the 2 new users, Robert and Justin. If we go over to one of the users' identity, we can verify the details that are populated along with the accounts that this user has. We can already see that the Active Directory account is available or created for this user, as this has been set up as part of the Identity Now process for new users. We can confirm the user's account creation on Active Directory itself by going over to the internal container to see the new user Justin created in the internal container and the other user Robert created in the external container as specified in the delimited file. We can now go ahead and import these users into the Okta environment. Again, This process can be set up to run automatically at a scheduled interval. But for part of this demo, we are going to be using a manual import. We now see that one new user is only imported. This is because only the user within the internal container is retrieved into Okta. This can be confirmed by going over to the Assignments tab and verifying that only Justin is imported. Let us now log in into the Identity Now system as one of the Okta users on a separate window. As we try to navigate to the Identity Now login page, we are automatically redirected to an Okta sign-in page. This is because we have integrated SSO with Okta. Providing one of the Okta user's credentials, which is the same as the user's Active Directory credentials, we can sign into Identity Now through Okta. This concludes the demonstration on how we can integrate Identity Now and Okta using SAML-based single sign-on, and how the new user management can be done through an Active Directory integration. Thank you.